If you smoke, you've probably felt under siege in California for some time. How would you like the privilege of lighting up just about anywhere you want? The grocery store, at work. It is still possible, you know, where tobacco rules. News Center 4's Anthony Moore went to North Carolina to see what life is like in America's largest tobacco-producing state.
They poke out of the Winston-Salem skyline like two cigarettes from a pack of Camels, the twin smokestacks of R.J. Reynolds Tobacco. This is North Carolina, where tobacco leaves have been cultivated for 3 centuries, a plant with roots burrowed so deep into the social fabric that even in today's health-conscious society, cigarette smoking is accepted just about anywhere. This is where tobacco rules.
Right now, it's illegal to have anti-smoking laws.
That's right. North Carolina is the only state which expressly prohibits regulations that would ban smoking. Instead, government offices, like this courthouse, must designate at least 20% of, quote, equal quality space for smokers. Businesses, especially in Winston-Salem, are just as smoker-friendly. You can smoke in the mall. You can light up at Kroger's grocery stores. In fancy restaurants like this, you can smoke at every table. And even though Sears customers can't smoke in other stores nationwide, they can in Winston-Salem.
I'll be with you in a second.
In fact, when an anti-smoking group needed a gathering place one night, they couldn't find a smoke-free hotel, restaurant, or meeting hall.
The only place left at all in this entire city or county was Krispy Kreme donuts.
Smoke-free, the manager says, even though the staffs received angry threats from customers.
We're still in the dark ages here. It's like an oppressed area in Winston-Salem. You can't go anywhere and be free of smoke.
Cigarettes have a hold on this state that anti-smoking forces find hard to break. But big tobacco is no longer king in North Carolina. Although it represents 10% of the state's economy, since 1988, the number of people working for cigarette companies has plummeted by half to 10,000.
Keith Spillman is one of them. At this R.J. Reynolds factory, Keith maintains the machines that make cigarettes. And his roots in the industry go back to his grandparents. They farmed tobacco, and he worked on a farm as a young man.
We're just like anybody else, working a job, making a product. If people want to use it, fine. If they don't, fine. We're just like everybody else that works for a living. There's no difference.
Keith and his wife live just outside Winston-Salem, in rural Yadkin County, a place where locals can't understand the national furor over tobacco. What's an evil industry, Spillman says, depends on where you live. Yadkin County, for example, is dry. You can buy North Carolina cigarettes aplenty, but not California wine.
Are there evil empires in California? You know, are y'all evil people for growing grapes and making wine? You know, I don't personally think so. If I want to drink a bottle of wine, fine. If I don't, fine.
Keith has a grade school son, Adam, and a teenage daughter, Amanda. He says neither of them smoke, nor should they. But at Amanda's high school, she could, because even though FORBUSH is a drug-free zone, cigarettes are okay in the smoking shed. All it takes is a parent's permission and a school-issue smoking permit. Principal Herman Norman.
A lot of it has to do with the fact that many of our parents work at R.J. Reynolds. Others, in fact, actually grow the tobacco themselves, and many of them, myself included, although I don't smoke, I have worked in tobacco as a child. Helped pay my way through college, as a matter of fact.
Spillman agrees. Tobacco has been good to this state, and it wouldn't make sense to knock it.
I don't know many people in North Carolina that don't have some tobacco money in their pocket from somewhere. You know, whether through providing a service or in some way or another. You know, they're connected with tobacco somehow.
That has anti-smoking advocates fuming. Dan ZACCARO and SHEILA PRATT have battled that perception for years.
It's very difficult to get anything done when the huge majority of non-smokers, even the health groups, are still unwilling to take action and advocate for smoke-free places.
2% of the jobs, 20% of the deaths. That's the truth about what tobacco contributes to this state.
It is a message that hasn't sunk in. Only 1 in 4 people in North Carolina smoke. But look around. It's easy to believe tobacco still rules. In Winston-Salem, North Carolina, Anthony Moore, News Center 4.
And tomorrow night, same time, Anthony heads to the North Carolina countryside where tobacco farmers fear their only viable way of life is fast going away.
You're watching Suzanne Shaw and Pete Wilson on News Center 4 at 6.
We like what we do, and we like growing tobacco, and we're proud to grow tobacco. We don't see anything wrong with it. And as far as the California thing goes, you know, you have the reputation out there of kind of forgetting about rights. I mean, you see it on the TV all the time, and this country was founded that people had individual rights, and we would hope that the people in California would wake up and remember that.
A North Carolina tobacco farmer expresses frustration over the increasing pressure on big tobacco. These are tough times for the tobacco industry.
Well, they're battling huge lawsuits in several states now, defending a settlement Congress says is far too lenient, and witnessing enactment of the strictest anti-smoking laws ever. Now that tobacco is banned in California bars anyway. News Center 4's Anthony Moor went to North Carolina, where tobacco rules, and spoke with growers about how they're weathering an industry under siege.
Brown Summit, North Carolina hasn't changed much in the last 100 years. It is a land of strong families who stretch back generations, families wedded to the land, a land where tobacco rules. There's no better place in the world to raise your family than on a family farm. That's what Luke Lambeth believes. So he decided to do what his father did: grow tobacco.
It's a legal product, and I don't have a problem with growing that legal product. It's just like growing corn. To me, it's just like growing wheat. If my dad had been a wheat farmer, I'd be growing 1,000 acres of wheat.
But Luke's wife, Deborah, admits these days there is a social price. When asked, she doesn't say she farms tobacco, just that she farms. One family's forbidden their children to come over and play. Others have come to argue.
Well, you know, we've had people come eat at our table and really sit across from Luke and just all of a sudden start on cigarettes and just want to take their plate away and say, well, you know, that's where that came from. That's where, you know, that's where our clothes came from, our house came from, education came from. And people don't realize that. This is a way of life for us.
Yet it's a way of life that is fading away. Cigarette companies are now buying a third of their tobacco from cheaper growers overseas. And anti-smoking campaigns have weakened demand for cigarettes in the U.S. Farmers now receive just 5 cents per pack of cigarettes sold compared to 25 cents in 1960. Yet tobacco remains very attractive to grow. It commands top dollar and is cushioned from market swings by federal price supports.
It's not just high prices that create a powerful incentive to grow tobacco. It's these small farms. Growing anything else is economically unfeasible. Grow 100 acres of soybeans and your profit's $8,000. Grow 100 acres of tobacco and your profit's $100,000.
Even so, North Carolina's farmers recognize they have to diversify. Tobacco grower Rick Apple now also runs a sprawling nursery business.
1980, we ranked 13th in the country in ag diversification. Now we're number 3. And a large part of that's been because of the pressure on tobacco, and has forced growers to get out and to go into other enterprises, farming enterprises that would spread out their dependence on tobacco some.
But none of these farmers has found a way to replace tobacco completely. Skeeter Strader has built 2 poultry houses. Every day, he collects about 12,000 eggs. Still, the money he makes can't compare to his 16 acres of leaf.
And there's nothing out there else that's going to do it. Not unless you're born rich or, you know, got a rich father or something that's giving you money.
Skeeter's cousin Gary Green built poultry houses too.
10 years down the road, I may make a little money off of them, but not enough to live on. I'd have to build a whole bunch more. But see, take my tobacco income away right now, I'd probably lose it all.
Steve Troxler started planting tomatoes.
But then your neighbor gets to looking over the fence and said, that man's making a few bucks over here raising these tomatoes, might ought to try this. So everybody gets them a little patch of tomatoes, and sooner or later the market is flooded with tomatoes and nobody makes money.
What's more, farmers exhibit a certain anger that they have to change it all, while other growers don't.
We don't understand why we're any different than the guy that raises barley malt that beer's made out of. I don't know that there's any difference between Joe Camel and the Budweiser frogs.
Growers do admit tobacco causes, quote, health effects, but they contend informed consumers should be able to choose their vices, not discouraged from buying their legal product, not hampered by broad prohibitions, like California's no smoking in bars law.
I'm a college graduate, and I can read and pretty much comprehend. See what this is right there? On that package right there, it said, warning, this may cause cancer of the mouth. Yep, I see that, and I'm still chewing it because I want to.
You can't legislate this. You know, non-smoking or smoking, this, you just can't do it. It's like banning liquor back in the 20s. It's not going to work.
Deborah Lambeth echoes most farmers when she says she doesn't want her children to smoke, but it's a qualified no.
What do you know about smoking?
You taught me that it's harmful to your lungs, and you can get cancer from it. That's mostly all I know about it.
We're aware of what it does, and they're aware of that too. But now there's a whole lot worse things they could do besides smoke a cigarette. You know, you don't hear of too many people that smoke a pack of cigarettes and go home and beat their wife. But now they may drink all day long and go home and do that. So,
such positions are no surprise where tobacco rules, of course. Still, skepticism about smoking's health effects and anger at anti-smoking laws won't forestall the truth. The future for tobacco farmers is bleak, and families such as the Lambeths may not have a way out.
We just don't have enough land to grow any other crop.
In Brown Summit, North Carolina, Anthony Moor, News Center 4.
Well, tobacco growers generally support the tobacco settlement being proposed to Congress right now, but they want something more. They want the federal government to buy up their allotments so they can have some cash to start farming something else, to get the land they will need to farm something else because the profit is so much less on a plot of land.